Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. We are going to get straight into the stories because I just had the weirdest, craziest night of my entire life, like craziest dreaming experiences, and I need to share it with you guys. I've been anxious all morning to record this video, but I'm like, okay, Dina, you gotta at least like get ready. My hair's still wet, but I'm like, you gotta get ready. You gotta eat something because you're freaking starving. But I'm like, oh my god, guys. Okay, so first of all, I want to point out the title of this video is not clickbait. We are going to get there, but you have to just be patient with me. Hold on to the end because the astral projection experience is actually the last thing that happened to me last night. There's other stuff that builded up to that, which I think is actually a big component on how I had this experience. So it's very, very crucial that you stay patient with me. I know everyone has very short attention spans these days, but please stay with me until the end. So before I get into this experience, I just want to quickly define what lucid dreaming is and what astral projection is for people that may not be super familiar with it. Lucid dreaming is when you are dreaming, you become aware that you are dreaming. So there's different levels of lucidity. Sometimes people have just a few moments of lucidity and then they kind of go back into that dream state where they don't really know they're dreaming. I've had that, but I've also had moments of lucidity where I'm lucid until the end of that dream, but as I drift into a new dream, I don't have that lucidity anymore. Some people achieve like a really good level of lucidity to the point where they develop this skill and they actually are able to control different parts of their environment in the dream. Now, I've never been able to do this in the past. I've only had like lucidity for a little bit and then I drift into another dream and then I kind of like, I forget that I'm dreaming. But last night that all changed. Actually, this all changed a few nights ago when I had another dream and I regret not writing down exactly when I had it and all the details, but I do have the main important parts that I'll tell you. But last night was just like lucidity to a whole nother level, like a whole nother level, guys. Okay, so now what is astral projection? This is just the Wikipedia definition. So basically, astral projection is a term used in esotericism to describe an intentional out-of-body experience that assumes the existence of a soul or consciousness called an astral body that is separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside it throughout the universe. Hold on to that definition, guys. This stuff gets really weird. I just want to first point out that I have made it an intention in my life that I want to become better at lucid dreaming. It's something that I'm able to do, but it's not something I have a lot of control over. Now, most people have had at least one or a couple lucid dreams in their life. I don't remember the statistics, but I will be going over that in another video. I recently purchased this book, A Field Guide to Lucid Dreaming, and I intend to do a more in-depth video about how to lucid dream based on what I've learned in this book. I haven't actually read a lot of the book yet. I've only started it just because I have so many other books going right now, but I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just the intention that I want to lucid dream more, starting to read it and just like talking about it more that has opened up a doorway for me or something, because guys, it's crazy. Okay, so we're gonna first talk about the dream that I had a few nights ago because this was the first time I gained control in my lucid dream. So basically, I don't have a lot of memory before. There's a lot of dreams and stuff that led up to this, but that's not very important because that's not when I became lucid. So I was in this, like, it was like summer day. I was along the street and I got into a car. I was gonna drive down the street. Now, it was one of those dreams where things kind of morph into other things. So like what seemed at the time like a normal sized car kind of eventually morphed into one of those kiddie cars. They're like battery powered cars that kids can actually drive. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like I always wanted one of those as a kid, so maybe that's why I have dreams about them. I don't know, but my car was kind of turned into that and then eventually it morphed into a bicycle. So basically I'm on this bicycle and I'm going around the block in this like neighborhood in the summertime and I come across this woman and she's just like moving in such a weird, robotic, repetitive, kind of spastic way. Some people might think it's kind of like creepy or crazy, or I don't know. It didn't scare me by any means. It just looked really odd. And I had this weird kind of moment where I was like, I feel like I've seen this before. I feel like I've experienced this before. I have deja vu in my dreams a lot, and I don't know if it's like the same thing happened in the same dream or if I've dreamt it a different night, but I get deja vu in dreams all the time. It's the most weirdest experience. I don't even know how to explain it. But anyways, I look at her and I have this moment of like clarity where I'm like, that is freaking weird. That's robotic. She is not human. And then I'm like, you know what? This isn't real life. I'm dreaming. So it was that moment that I became lucid. Oftentimes people become lucid if they like notice something that's kind of out of the normal, like something that's a little odd or off, I guess, that you realize that you're not actually in the real world, you're dreaming. So it was that triggered my lucidity, and then I'm like, oh my god, I've been wanting to become lucid, I've been wanting to work on this. I'm like, maybe I can fly, because this is the one thing I've always tried before in the past where I'm like, I'm lucid and I really want to be able to fly, but I've never been able to. Like, I'll jump and I'll just fall down and I get frustrated. I'm like, I am lucid dreaming, why can't I control my dream? But this time it worked, so I'm like, I bet I can fly on this bike. And my bike just starts levitating like ET style, like throughout this neighborhood. I'm flying on my bike. Unfortunately, I think the excitement of being able to do that is what actually woke me up, because it didn't last very long. I was probably flying on my bike for a good like 10 seconds before I woke up. That was maybe a little bit more than a few nights ago. It was definitely while I was on Christmas vacation. So anyways, guys, last night, okay, so I went to bed at around probably like a little after 11 o'clock. I had the wildest dream. So I'm gonna read to you what I wrote down in my notes. Yeah, it's wild, guys. Okay. So this is the first dream experience. The second one is where I have my astral projection at the end. So just hold tight, guys. It's getting there. But this one's pretty entertaining, so you'll probably find it pretty interesting too. So my dream started off, I was shopping at Urban Planet. I don't know if you guys heard of Urban Planet, but it's one of the places I love to shop at. So we started off at Urban Planet. I was with my mom, but my mom was kind of acting weird and she didn't really seem like my mom. It honestly kind of felt like she was possessed or something. It was just really odd. But I'm just like, I just kind of like went off and left her. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm looking at these different bodysuits. So some of them were actually like a jean material. One had like rips at the top. It was kind of like, you know, like ripped like jeans are. And then I was looking at like these soft like pink mauve type jumpers type thing. I walked over to another section of clothing where I bumped into my best friend who was shopping, and we were talking a bit, and then I continued throughout the store. So I stepped into a frozen aisle. So apparently Urban Planet has a frozen aisle now. Dreams are weird. So it was like I was in a grocery store all of a sudden, and I was looking in the you know, the doors for banana lollies, like the Chapman's banana lollies. Do you guys know those? I've been like thinking about them lately. Somehow they just managed to get into my dream. So I'm like, I want some of those. So I go to get them. Unfortunately, there's like a disaster with the freezer. So the freezer door breaks and everything just gets crushed. And like the store employee, who I'm not going to say the exact name of the person, but happens to be a woman that I went to school with in high school. And her name starts with a K. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm not going to say their name. You'll understand in a second why I need to tell you it's a K name. Anyways, so she comes over. Apparently she works here. She asked for me to give her a hand. So I help her to basically clean up all the broken frozen things that are on the floor and also put the door back on. While I'm doing this, my best friend walks up beside me and we chit chat a bit, and I ask her if she had luck finding clothes, and she shows me her big bag excitedly of what she got, which is typical of her. She loves to shop for clothes. I then tell her that I'm not having the best luck shopping, which I wasn't. I was also like stressed about money. In my head in the dream, I'm thinking, you know what, I just went Christmas shopping, like I can't afford to do this right now. So I told her I'm actually not feeling it right now and I'm gonna leave. So after we fix the freezer, this girl with the K name, she says, "Thank you so much, Dina." And I accidentally say, "You're welcome, Karen," instead of her actual name. So I think to myself, oh my god, like that's so mean. With all the Karen memes that are going around on the internet right now, this girl must be so insulted. That's literally what popped into my head in this dream. So anyways, I start walking to my car, which is in this grassed over parking lot, because apparently there's a park right beside my car. Everything looks different. It's not the normal surroundings. As I'm doing this, I realize that I'm actually in a dream. So this was my moment of lucidity. I realized the girl that I called Karen won't actually be insulted because this is my dream, not hers. I think about it. I'm like, if it was hers, we'd be dream sharing, which isn't likely. So she's not a real person. Like, this is my thought pattern of what's happening while I'm dreaming. I continue to my car repeatedly saying to myself, I am dreaming. I am dreaming. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm lucid enough to understand that if I don't keep like putting that, like drilling that into my mind, I'm probably gonna lose lucidity like I have before. So I'm like, I am dreaming, I am dreaming. As I do so, this man steps in front of me and I'm like, can I please go to my car? Basically, he's blocking me. He doesn't move, and I just have like this intense like feeling of like, oh my goodness, this guy's a threat. He's either gonna hurt me, assault me, or kidnap me or something like that. I'm instantly like, nope. So I use my finger and I just like magically raise him high in the sky. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, he just goes, the sky just goes whoosh, like up into the sky. And he's just like yelling and freaking out and begging for his life basically. And I yell, "This is my dream. I have the control here and you are not going to mess with me. How does it feel to be the small one this time?" I don't know why I said that. I think also he looked really small because of how far in the sky he was. So maybe that's why. So I also want to point out, I'm not really sure exactly what he looked like. I did know in the dream, like, people are very clear, like everything about them, their hair color, their eye color, their body shape, their height, everything's very clear in the dream, but I always lose these details when I wake up, unfortunately. So also, so he starts whimpering and he's begging for his life in the sky. I want to add this detail that is hilarious. So while I'm saying those words, like, "This is my dream, I have the control here, blah, 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 blah," my voice is echoing so loud and it sounds exactly the way Ursula's voice sounds when she gets really, really, when she grows really big at the end of The Little Mermaid.
You pitiful, insignificant fool.
That's what my voice sounded like. It sounded like so powerful. And also, I'm pretty sure the sky kind of got dark and like kind of lightning-y. Like, there was like this like insane power that's around it, but that part is a little bit blurry for me. So don't take my word on that part, but I feel like it was. So yeah, he's like begging for his life. I decide to spare him his life. So I use my finger and I lower him back down to the earth. I'm like, what did I say? Yeah, I tell him to never mess with me again, or don't do this again, or something like that. And he literally just runs off whimpering because he's terrified. So I turn around and I continue back to my car, where I see, like, across the parking lot there's a woman with her young son, and they're like just sitting on the grass beside the car. Looks like they're maybe about to have a picnic or something, but they have no food there. And I'm like, "Hey guys, do you want something to eat? Here." So I'm like amused by my powers at this point. I'm like, holy cow, like, I can do anything I want in this dream. So I take my finger and I go zap, and there's a pepperoni pizza in front of them, and they're like, "Oh, thank you," and they're all excited and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, you need a drink to go with that. Okay, here you go. Have some lemonade." Zap, and they have like 2 glasses of lemonade. I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool. Why don't I make myself some food?" So I go back to my car and I sit in the passenger seat because I'm not planning on driving yet. And I'm just sitting there, and then I'm like, okay, I feel like some Hawaiian pizza and some French fries. So I go zap, zap. And then I literally have an entire like Hawaiian pizza and like French fries covered in ketchup. And then so I start eating it, and so I'm eating it, but I'm like eating it so fast because I'm so excited and like hyped about this whole experience. So as I'm eating it, basically I dropped some toppings on my floor and I dropped some ketchup covered fries on my floor, and I'm like, oh my god, shoot, there's a stain on my floor. So I think this is where I started to lose a little bit of lucidity, to the point where like I was concerned about the stain when I really shouldn't be concerned about a stain in a car that's not actually my real car, but I still was lucid enough to understand that I still had my magical powers. So I went zap, and then the stain of the ketchup went away, but it looked like there's still some more stains on my floor, and I'm like, those I think were there before I dropped my stuff, but I'm like, let's try and clean it up anyway. So I literally start waving my hand in the air like I'm like washing something, and then the stains just slowly like disappear and the car's like brand new again. So anyways, I'm just like hyped about my powers, and I just keep eating and eating and eating, and that's when I kind of drifted back into my awake state. So that's when the dream kind of ended. I'm kind of curious where it would have gone if I could stay lucid for longer or stay in the dream longer, but basically that's what happened. I woke up at 4 in the morning, hyped about this, wrote this note. I was starving. I went downstairs, got a snack because I couldn't sleep because I was hungry, and then I was scrolling online. I was wide awake until about, probably it was between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. I was having a really hard time falling back asleep because I was just so hyped up and I really wanted to film this, but I'm like, I need to get some more sleep. So the reason I want to point this out is because they say in order to get into that state for astral projection, you need to basically go to sleep, like set a timer, I guess, to wake yourself up, stay awake for a bit, and then go back to sleep. You kind of need to be in that slightly lighter sleep state, but still dreaming state almost. I didn't specifically try to do this. This is just how things happen to work out because of the way things were set up last night. I wasn't specifically trying to astral project. Astral projection scares me a bit. I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end because I want to get to the story. I fell back asleep. I must have not fallen asleep for very long, or like there was a very short time span between like when I fell asleep and when I woke up, because I think I must have fallen asleep between 6:30 and 7, and then I woke up at 7:25 ish is when I woke up and started recording this. like my voice recording. By the way, I'll be showing you like clips. I'll be playing clips of my voice recording from when the moment I woke up out of this experience, because it was fresh in my mind, and you can tell like I'm like, holy crap, what just happened? And you can kind of see the state that I'm in. But the voice recording itself is 17 minutes long, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm going to kind of summarize and then kind of put clips in here and there. The dream starts off and it kind of looks like my house a little bit. It's a little bit warped a little bit, but that's usually what happens. I wasn't lucid yet. So I was in, I think, my brother's room. I was with some people from high school. I recognize some faces. I'm not going to say any names, but I was with some people at high school. We were just kind of hanging out, and people started kind of walking down the hall towards my bathroom and like my bedroom. I'm like, what are people doing? So like after a while, I'm like, okay, where's everyone going? So I walked down the hall and people were kind of like, I swear someone was hanging off the ceiling, actually. You know, I think about it, like hanging off the doorway thing. Yeah. So people were like half in my room, a little bit in my room, in my bathroom that's beside my bedroom. At this point, I was starting to become lucid. So I'm like, I need to remember all these details. So I was looking at each individual face. I'm like, okay, I recognize you. I recognize you. I recognize you. I'm putting names to faces. Unfortunately, when I woke up, I forgot some of the people. I had to get things out so quick in my voice recording because things were drifting away. I'm like, I need to get this done quick. I got most of the important stuff though. So anyways, so I'm looking at everybody. I noticed a couple people that I don't recognize, but they're so vivid, and I'm like, I need to figure out later in the dream, like, who are you? So anyways, I'm looking at them like, what's going on? So they handed me a envelope, handwritten, like markers, colorful and stuff, and on the front of the envelope it said surprise, and they're like surprising me, like they gotta read it. So it was like this crumbled handwritten note. I opened it and it had like a few different lines on it. So, and it was very jumbled writing. Like the writing was so messy, I could barely understand it. They were kind of saying it to me. I'm like, say it to me again, say it to me again. This is kind of like, I realized I was lucid dreaming, so I'm trying to get as much information as possible, but I was having such a hard time and I was trying to memorize it all. It said I go into the room, or I enter the room at 9:59 or 3:59 a.m. or something like that. It says I enter the room. It was just like, it was like 3 or 4 steps of me, and they writing it like I was saying it. It was really weird. I can't remember the other 2 lines. I wanted to remember it so bad. I was trying so hard. Basically, this entire dream was me focusing on this note, this piece of paper in my hand, trying to memorize what was on it. But part of my issue was I was trying to memorize something that wasn't completely coherent. The words were kind of scattered. The writing was kind of messy. I couldn't fully comprehend what was on this piece of paper. So anyways, I took the piece of paper with me. I put it in my pocket. I kept on pulling it out of my pocket and looking at it throughout the dream. So I go back to the other room, but no, it's no longer my house anymore. It's kind of looks a little bit more like a kind of like a bar setting, but like it has couches and stuff, and everyone can kind of sit around in a circle. So everyone's sitting around, they're talking. I'm going around and talking to people. Oh, I forgot another detail. Like when I was looking at this note, I'm like, please read it to me, please read it to me. And people were kind of telling me it, but again, it wasn't super coherent. So anyways, yes, we're in the bar area. I'm going around. I'm like, okay, this is my time to talk to the people that look familiar, but I don't know who they are. Like they're vivid, very, very clear faces. So I go over to this one girl, and she's got her hair kind of up in like a messy bun ponytail situation. She's got strawberry blonde hair, very fair. And I asked her, I'm like, you look so familiar. Who are you? She told me her name's Nancy. Now, I don't know anybody by the name Nancy that looks like this. I know dark hair Nancy. I don't know who this girl is. It could have just been something random, or maybe it is a real being or something coming through. I don't know. I go over to sit on this couch. There's 2 other girls there. The girl right beside me, dark-haired girl, I knew who she was, or I recognized her, because I didn't feel the need to ask who she was. I don't remember now who she is, and that drives me nuts that I can remember all the details as I woke up, because things were just drifting away. But the person right beside her, so like 2 people down from me, she was this blonde girl, blue eyes. I feel like kind of similar hairstyle, hair color to the other girl. I wanted to ask her who she was, because I don't know who she was. I did not recognize this one. I just thought she was very vivid, and like that's what was amazing me. It was like I was lucid enough to know I was dreaming. I'm like, how is my mind coming up with these faces? Like, this must be a real person. I need to ask who she is. But they were kind of in a deep conversation, so I couldn't really get in there and interject and talk. So I pulled out my piece of paper again, and I started looking at it. I'm like, I need to study this. I need to remember for when I wake up, because I really wanted to write down what I saw on this piece of paper. So I grab it, I start walking away from them, and I'm walking down the hall with this piece of paper, and things are getting darker. Things are changing around me. I'm getting a little frightened, But at the same time, I'm lucid enough to be like, okay, whatever happens around me is a dream. I need to stay focused on this piece of paper. Like, I was so fixated on figuring out what was on this piece of paper and trying to remember it. And whatever I did make out of it, I was rehearsing over and over and over again in my mind. Maybe it's even saying it out loud. That part's a little foggy. I get into this dark room and then things just start shifting around me. So I'm kind of looking down at this piece of paper, but in my peripheral vision, I can see everything shifting around me. And this is where things get really weird, guys. Suddenly, these mirrors are coming up, and I'm not, no joke, I feel like I'm kind of in an elevator, but an elevator that goes in all different directions. Like, not an up and down elevator, like all different directions. There are mirrors that are rotating literally around me everywhere. All I see is these mirrors. So, you know, like, so it's dark, but there's that little bit of light, that reflection from the mirrors. Like, the mirrors are lit up, but everywhere else, like, is dark. Like, above me is dark, below me is dark, and it was so trippy. So I'm looking at this, I'm not looking directly in the mirror because I did feel a little bit frightened about the fact there was a mirror there. I didn't want to really see what was in the mirror. It kind of startled me a bit. I'm like, Dina, just stay focused on your piece of paper. So I'm looking at this piece of paper, mirrors are going around and around and around, things are getting faster and faster and faster, and I feel like I'm moving. So I'm not, and I can't put my thumb on whether I'm going up or down. I don't think I am. I think I'm going like all different directions, honestly. Things start to vibrate. Like, my entire body is vibrating and shaking, and everything's just moving around me, and it was very disorienting. And then suddenly things get dark.
It gets weird. It's like I shoot up in the air, and I'm no joke. I woke up at some point, but I wasn't fully awake. I swear to God, I was hovering over my body. I couldn't see it, but I could feel myself slowly lowering down to where my body is supposed to be. And it's dark in my room, but it's bright enough for me to see. I look over, I'm like, I see my bedside table. I see the things on my bedside table. I see my diffuser. I see my pillow. I see my curtains. I see my bedpost. My body is like shaking, and it's like, I can't even explain this floating, shaking feeling sensation that I'm having, but it literally felt like I was out of my body, and then I lowered myself into my body. And when I was down and I could eventually, because at first it felt like I was floating, when I finally was down enough to the point where I could feel my blanket and my pillow under my head again, I was still kind of like vibrating. That's the word. I was like heavily vibrating during this. It was so weird. And I felt like I wasn't completely here yet. And I was like excited and amazed at this like experience, while also being a little bit frightened of the fact that I don't think I was fully in my body. So I started saying the words, and I'm not really fully clear on whether this was happening in my mind or if I spoke them out loud, but I said the words, I am home, I am in my body. And when I said that, that's when I snapped out of it, and I was like, I could feel my body again, and I was in bed again. Oh my God. That's so weird. That's so wild. I'm literally telling you this, recording this as soon as I got back in my body, I grabbed my phone. Like, as soon as it happened. I've never had 2 lucid dreams in that detail with that much control and mental control and awareness in one night before. And then to have that experience, like, it actually felt like astral projection. I really, really wanted to remember what was written on the piece of paper. I don't know if it has any sort of importance whatsoever. Maybe it was just meant to be the focus of the dream to keep my mind busy, because I was trying so hard to remember it. It helped me keep my lucidity, because maybe if I stopped trying to remember what was on the piece of paper, then I would have just kind of been brought back to that dream state where I didn't really know what would happen, because sometimes it happens. I become lucid and then I lose that lucidity.
What I want to say is I'm not someone who was like strong believer in astral projection before this happened. I've always been skeptical. I've been always interested in it, and I've listened to other people's experiences on YouTube, and I've read about it. I'm sorry, my birds are really loud right now. So I've been unsure about whether this is actually, like, are people actually leaving their physical body, or is this just some sort of sleep experience that we don't fully understand, that science can't fully understand yet, psychology can't fully understand? I mean, that's possible. That is 100% possible. My other part of me kind of believed it, but was also really scared and not really intending on doing it myself, because I've always had the fear, like, what if I can't get back to my body? Or what if something else takes over my body before I can get back to it? That's always kind of scared me. That's why I've never been interested necessarily in doing like astral projection or trying to learn how to astral project, because a lot of people make videos and they talk about how to do it. And I've watched it, but I've never tried it just because I'm like, it scares me a little bit. I don't know if I can think of another explanation for what happened last night. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be skeptical, and that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to convince anybody that it's real, because I'm still trying to make out what happened to myself, because I still am like, what just happened? All I can say is that when I woke up, I say that in quotations because it doesn't feel like I woke up out of the astral projection, that experience. It doesn't feel like I woke up. It felt like I was awake during it, because awake in a different trance state or something. I didn't suddenly wake up and was like, oh wow, I think I had astral projection last night or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that kind of, when there's a really distinct difference between dreaming and that awake state, it's kind of like, did that really just happen? But it wasn't that. As I was levitating, as I was descending from my ceiling down to my body, and I was feeling that intense high level of vibration going through my body, I was like going over and over again in my mind, like, holy crap, what is happening to me right now? I was really aware that some weird out of body experience was happening to me. Like, I was freaking out. I was freaking out. I'm like, it just cut me off. I'm like, I don't know where I am. Like, can I get back to my body? Like, how do I wake up? Like, I was fascinated but scared at the same time. So I'm just saying, like, I'm open to things, but I always look at things with a critical eye. I'm a very skeptical person while still being open at the same time. I just think it's important to go about life questioning things fully and not just full force believe in everything that you hear or experience. But I can't. I'm at a loss of words now, guys. Like, do I want it to happen again? Part of me, yes, because I'm very, very curious. I definitely want the lucid dreaming to happen again. I'm very open to developing that skill because I think that's really cool. Astral projection scares me a little bit more, but now that I've experienced it, it's just kind of like, I feel like I need to experience it again to fully like comprehend what happened. Honestly, guys, like, if you have had any wild lucid dreaming or astral projection experiences, please leave it in the comments below. Like, I find that stuff so fascinating. I want to read everything you guys have to say, and if you guys have like more information about what you think I experienced, like, please like leave that below. If you have other explanations for what happened to me other than astral projection, I'm also open to hearing those possibilities, so leave those in the comments below. I also want to tell you that once I finish reading this book, I will 100% be putting up another video about this topic because it's something that fascinates me. Basically, this book is gonna like guide me and teach me how to really develop that lucid dreaming skill, and since I apparently have a pretty good hand on it, or grasp on it, I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and I'm really excited. So if you're interested in lucid dreaming yourself, whether it is you've lucid dreamed before and you want to develop that skill, or you've never lucid dreamed before and you want to learn how to, I will be posting a video. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have that bell notification turned on for future videos. If you guys are new here and you're curious what my channel's about, dreaming is one of the things that definitely fascinates me, and I do like to make videos on dreaming, but I also make all sorts of videos. So I make lifestyle, kind of like self-improvement type videos, spirituality videos, witchcraft, honestly like some more like sciencey stuff too. Like, I love psychology and like anything related to self-development. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, definitely make sure you subscribe and join our growing family. And I just want to say again, another big thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. Like, you guys are amazing. I love all you guys. You're so like supportive and great, and I've got a chance to speak to quite a few of you, and just like thank you so much, honestly, for supporting my channel. It means the world to me. I've seen a lot more growth this year than last year, and it's really exciting because for a long time it felt like I was just talking to a camera with nobody on the other end. Like, I was just putting in so many hours of work for like no payoff. And I know you shouldn't focus on the subscribers that you have and stuff, but like it felt lonely, I guess is the best way to describe it. And now it feels like I'm actually talking to people. Like, I'm actually getting those comments, those responses, and I actually feel like we have a community growing, and that is like one of the biggest the biggest things that I wanted with this channel is to grow a community of amazing people that want to like help each other and support each other and better themselves. Like I just really wanted to create that community. So I'm just, honestly, I'm so blessed and so excited about that and the future of this channel. So thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.